Portuguese and Spanish live and interact with their past in a unique way that stretches into the modern era, people bring forward traditions to enjoy in the present and repurpose historical elements to suit modern lives. This isn't new. In ruins built by previous Iberian empires, there are repurposed elements from previous owners. Our presentation will focus on this Iberian integration of history into the culture of each subsequent generation.
We will explore the repurposing of old architecture in historical societies, the manipulation of understanding of history, the modern changes to historical buildings to protect and improve access to history, the everyday presence of history in Iberian lives, and how the food culture uses old traditions to cater to modern tastes. Various Iberian civilizations have modified historical elements to suit their purposes. In the Fuente Alamo Roman villa, this Islamic oil mill was left behind by the villa's previous Moorish owners. The Roman owners redirected the villa's water system to their bathhouse across the river. This is an example of Iberian inhabitants borrowing historical elements.
The Castelo dos Moros, or the Moorish castle, was built as a defensive stronghold in the 9th century to defend the Moorish Empire from coastal attack, specifically protecting the city of Sintra. However, it fell into disrepair after the Moors were driven out by the Reconquista. It was eventually restored in the 19th century by the Christian king of Spain, Ferdinand II, who was obsessed with the Middle Ages and with good architecture.
The Alcazar Castle in Seville shows that the Moors also repurposed remnants of other civilizations. These pillars were taken from Roman ruins. The Spanish monarchy added the upper level in the 16th century as spectator space for a wedding. This building represents 3 different groups using and modifying historical architecture: Romans, Moorish, and the Spanish monarchy.
This cathedral, also in Sevilla, was originally a Moorish mosque. After the Reconquista, much of the mosque was demolished so that the cathedral could be built. However, some of the original Moorish structure and design were kept. In this picture, you can see the spot where the Moorish arches give way to the Catholic-style cathedral entrance. The Catholics kept the Moorish tower and the courtyard, but integrated them with the cathedral.
When Spain and Portugal take history and repurpose it, that sometimes means rewriting the modern-day understanding of that history. The Spanish Inquisition spanned centuries and caused many Spaniards to eschew their roots in favor of being completely Catholic. Additionally, during both countries' dictatorship regimes, some history was suppressed and rewritten in order to give credence to those regimes.
As part of their effort to bring history forward into future generations, Iberians use modern technology to protect historical landmarks. Here we see a security camera-guarded door at the Quinta de Regularia in Sintra, Portugal. Between the art of the previous slide and the architecture of this one, a dichotomy exists in how Iberians wield history. They alternate between protecting and rewriting history to serve modern purposes.
Iberians protect history not only from thieves and moronic tourists, but also from the natural decaying caused by microbes in the environment. At the Instituto de Recursos Naturales y Agrobiología de Sevilla, one research group focuses on finding ways to protect Spanish heritage sites from natural decay.
However, restoration projects can also go badly wrong. Here one can clearly see the results of attempting to prevent drafts of wind from finding their way into the Gothic building at Quinta de Regularia. Black tar was used on parts of the building and is clearly visible to the observer, especially when comparing to the other parts of the building. These restorations showcase the sometimes misinformed endeavors to protect the past for future generations.
The Cascais Fort of Fortaleza de Cidadela is an old Moorish structure converted in the modern day. The Cascais Fort currently serves as a luxury hotel of the Pousadas of Portugal chain. The Pousadas of Portugal was set up by the Portuguese government in the 40s. Luxury hotels would be built inside historic landmarks so that they could be preserved for future generations.
In order to be able to use and repurpose the past the way they do, all Iberians need to be able to access their history. Throughout this trip, we noticed that the vast majority of museums and even outdoor landmarks we visited had wheelchair ramps, lifts, and elevators for those with limited mobility. This directly contrasts with the United States, in which some historical landmarks are not ADA compliant due to cost constraints or other factors.
History in Spain and Portugal is present in the everyday lives of its people, almost without their notice. Here is a piece of religious art simply present on the side of a building in Puente Genil. In the US, art like this would be marked with a plaque and billed as a tourist destination, or at least a Pokestop. In Spain, it's commonplace and evidence of the influence of Catholicism in the region.
The Easter Museum in Puente Genil, Spain, is a museum that keeps records of the Holy Week parade. This parade gives honor to the biblical stories surrounding Christ's death and resurrection. In the event, parade members dress up in costumes and full-face masks depicting biblical characters. It's a modern celebration of the past as well as an indication that the biblical histories remain a significant part of the shared historical record of Spain. The food cultures in Spain and Portugal also heavily rely upon tradition as framework for preparing ingredients in a way that serve current tastes. Tapas, traditional Spanish appetizers made for sharing amongst a group of people, are iconic in Spain. At many restaurants, the tapas choices change daily based on the current available ingredients, and in this Huelva-based restaurant, they are listed on a chalkboard on the wall.
Roasted chestnuts are a traditional dish during St. Martin's Day, a holiday in Portugal celebrating St. Martin. The legend has it that Martin of Tours, a Roman soldier, gave a beggar half his cloak and later had a vision of Jesus praising him. Portugal uses St. Martin's Day as a celebration of the harvest. Here you see the traditional chestnuts made in a modern smoker.
Portugal's canned fish industry stretches back to the time of the Phoenicians, Greeks, and Carthaginians, who would salt and export fish in clay pots. However, the industry as we know it developed in 1864 when pasteurization developed. Portuguese canned fish became iconic and a major factor of the Portuguese economy. Although it fell out of popularity in the late 20th century, it's recently experienced a major resurgence due to the ongoing economic crisis.
Spain is one of the world's top producers of olive oil, as we learned in this family-owned mill in Puente Genil. The Roman method of producing olive oil was in use until approximately 15 years ago, at which point a more mechanical method became popular. Despite the change to a new machine, the owner of this mill still keeps his old Roman-style mill in a separate room from the new machine.
Functioning in a dual purpose, these trees provide profit as an agricultural product while also beautifying their host cities. While they may be too bitter to be eaten as they are, after they are processed into marmalade, these oranges become a favorite condiment throughout Europe. Due to these practical and aesthetic purposes, bitter oranges are planted alongside streets throughout many of the cities boasting compatible climates.
This hotel is a repurposing of old architectural elements into a new purpose. Through this presentation, you have seen how the Spaniards and Portuguese do things just like this in many elements of their lives, in architecture, food, and in life. They use history as a tangible element that they can bring forward or leave behind to suit modern purposes. Thank you for listening.